Welcome ladies and gentlemen to this tutorial. I'm going to be showing you how to cold and dark start up this 737 MAX. We're currently in the 737 MAX American Airlines, as you guys can see here, and it'll be a full in-depth tutorial, nice and slow for you guys, on how to start this aircraft up completely cold and dark, nice and slow for all of you guys watching. So first thing that you're going to want to do is come on down here and make sure that your parking brake is set. It's going to be this lever here, should be all the way up as shown. Second, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your battery switch. I'll move nice and slowly for you guys. On my controls, it's going to be control 5. You might have it to something else, but you're going to come up to this panel here, and I'm slowly going to come on over here, move the mouse, and your battery switch is going to be right here, right below the auxiliary battery and next to the APU gens and next to the cabin utilities. So you're going to touch this, and you're going to make sure that you switch it to the on position. One click, and that's going to come on down. As you guys can see, all of the lighting comes on, and your panels down here start to come alive. Third, you're going to want to turn on your electric hydraulic pumps. That's going to be right here. See, as hydraulic pumps. You're going to want to turn these two on, down. These two usually are automatically already down. If they're not, make sure they are down. But that's going to be your hydraulic pumps right there, electric hydraulic pumps. After you're done with that, you're going to want to get your ground power. You're going to come on back to the main screen here, or main position, and you're going to come on over slowly to your EFB. That's your iPad over here. You're going to press the power button, which is going to be right on in the top right corner. After you're done with that, you're going to go down to Systems page. You're going to see it right down here. Click it. You're going to see System Fault Log. Come down to the bottom left, and it will say Sim Menu. Once you're on the Sim menu, you're going to go down to Ground Support. It's going to say Failures, Save and Load, Panel Style, Pushback, Ground Support. Click this. You're going to see that your chocks already are set, and you've got your electric here. This is going to be your GPU. Press connect and make sure that the diamond is green. After the diamond is green, you're going to come all the way down here and press set. You can double click it and press done. Now your GPU should be fully connected, and if we come outside, you'll see that this truck here, I know it's a little crowded, but this truck right here is going to be your GPU. This one right on over here. You're going to hear that alarm letting you know, hey, I'm ready to turn on my ground power. Once you hear that alarm, you're going to slowly come up back to your control panel. For me, it's going to be control 5. And you're going to zoom in, and you're going to see ground power available right here in the middle. Switch that to the on position. You're going to hear the air all come on. Now your ground power is connected. Again, that's going to be in the middle here. After you're done with that, you're going to want to make sure that your landing gear lever, which is right here, is to the down position. If it is up, make sure you switch it back to down. You should have 3 green. After you are done with your checking that your landing gear lever is down, you're going to want to do your engine and APU fire warning test. So come on down here, and you're going to see these red switches right here. Once you've located those, zoom in, and in the bottom left you'll see test. Switch this to this position to the right. For me, it's going to be a scroll upward, or to the, scroll upward. That test is done. Perfect. Coming back on up, you're going to want to check your position lights and make sure that those are on. So back up to the main panel, you're going to come on down to where it says position, strobe, and steady. And if you look carefully, you'll see that it says steady. That's going to be your position lights, or your nav lights. Switch this to the down position. If you switch it up to the up position, you're going to get your nav lights and your strobes. You don't want your strobes at the gate. So make sure this is to the down position. If it is dark, you can turn on your wing light. This allows the flight attendants to be able to see the wing in case anything is going wrong. As it is daytime right now, we're not going to need that on. Again, that's going to be your wing light. We're going to keep this off for this position here. Next, you're going to go to your engine bleed switches, which are up here. It says APU bleed, and next to them is your engine bleed switches. These are usually already switched to the on position, but if they're not, make sure that these are switched down to the on position. Engine bleed switches are checked. Now you can align your navigation or your IRS. In order to do this, you can either zoom out and look on up here. It's going to be up here, says IRS. It's above this whole panel. For me, that's going to be Control 6. Once you have come up here, you're going to see that the IRS is here, and you're going to switch all of these to the nav position. Not align, not ATT, but to nav. 1, 2. You're going to see align and on DC, meaning it's on the battery. 1, 2. Align, on DC. Once you are done with that, you can come back on down to the main position, and these will slowly start to align. Next, after you have aligned your IRS, you can come on back upstairs, and we're going to do our yaw damper. Yaw damper is going to be in the corner over here. You'll see it. It says yaw damper. Turn that to the on position. Yaw damper is no longer going to be yellow as it is now on. Next, you're going to do your emergency lights. Emergency lights are located right above your seatbelt and no smoking sign, right along this middle panel right here. I'm going to switch this to the armed position, just one click. That's going to turn off, and this will close automatically. Emergency and exit lights are now armed. Next, you can put your seatbelt and no smoking sign on. No smoking sign is usually already going to be on, and you can usually put your fasten seatbelts to the auto position so you don't have to worry about it. If you would like for more realism, you can also turn this to the on position and maybe even call the flight attendants. I like to keep this on auto so I never have to worry about it. After you have located that, you're going to go to your flap levers and confirm that they are up. In this case, we're going to come on over here and we see that our flap lever is up. In my case, my thrustmaster full throttle quadrant, my flap lever is actually down. So I'm going to correct that and make sure that it is up. As you can see, it started to go down and then back on up. Flap lever is confirmed up. Next, you can go to your speed brake, which is going to be here. It's going to say SPD brake. Make sure that is down, which is to the fully up position. Perfect. You can also confirm this with your wing views. If you have a custom wing view, you can confirm that your spoilers are confirmed down. Next, you're going to want to make sure that your galley switches are on. Coming back upstairs, your galley switches are right here, right above the standby power and next to the battery that we talked about earlier. It's right here. Cabin utility. Make sure this is on. IFE and passenger seat, that's the screens on your seat. Make sure that is on as well. After you are done with that, you're going to come on up and make sure that your window heat is on. Switch these left and right switches on. The middle is just a power test. You don't need to worry about that. After you've located your window heat and made sure that these are on, you're going to come down to your probe. Confirm that this is off, meaning that these switches are to the up position. These yellow lights should be on. If they're not, make sure that you switch these switches to the auto position, and these should be off. Pre-flight checklist has been complete. You can now do your before start checklist. We'll do a full tutorial on the FMC, so we'll ignore the FMC for now, but usually you would program your FMC for your arrival. After you've done your FMC, which we'll have a whole nother tutorial on after this video, you will make sure that your flight directors are turned on. Flight directors are going to be located on this main panel here. If you zoom in, it's going to be next to N1, flight director. Switch this to the on position. You'll see this light turn on, and you'll also see the green FD for flight director displayed on each of your screens. Make sure that both flight directors are turned on, and this one over here is also turned on. You can switch off your yellow FMC warning and come on over to the auto throttle switch, which is going to be located right above N1. Confirm that this is to the off position. After you are done with your auto throttle switch, you would do your speed, which would be your V2 speed, which would be located in your FMC. For purposes of this video, since we're not going to do the FMC, don't worry about this right now, but you would set this to your V2 speed, which would be, let's say, maybe 145. This would depend also on what your V2 speed is in your FMC. Next, you would do your heading select mode. Whatever runway you're going to take off, you're going to set your heading to that runway. So let's say that we're taking off runway 220. You'd set this to, I believe it's going to be 220. You check this in SimBrief as well, or you can look online as to what the heading of 220 is. For purposes of this video, we'll just set that to 220. Next, you would do your altitude selector. You would check your SID and your star. We'll do another tutorial on what SIDs and stars are. But if your if your SID shows that you have a constraint of 15,000 feet coming out on departure, you would set this to 15,000 feet. If there are no constraints, you set this to your cruise altitude. Let's say our cruise altitude is 32,000 feet. We'd set this on up to 32,000 feet. Once that is confirmed, you would make sure that your autopilot disengage bar is to the up position. Your autopilot disengage bar is always going to be located right beneath your autopilot engage buttons, right here, and it says disengage. If it is down, click it or scroll on it to make sure that it goes back to the up position. After you have done that, we're going to confirm that our thrust levers, these right here, are to the idle position. You can check that, bring them up, bring them back down. They are set to the idle position. Next, you would do your stabilizer trim, which would be automatically set after you set your trim in the FMC. Right now it's set to 5. We'll keep that at that right now. Next, you would set your auto brakes to reject a takeoff, or RTO. It's always going to be next to your FMCs, and set that to rejected takeoff, RTO. Once you have done your rejected takeoff, you would start up your APU, otherwise known as your auxiliary power unit. You can come back upstairs, and if you check down here next to the engine start, you would see APU, auxiliary power unit. Push this to the start position. You'll see the low oil pressure light that will go away as the APU starts up. Make sure that your APU bleed switch is also to the on position. APU bleed switch is going to be over here where we talked about the engine bleed switches, and you're going to make sure that this is on to the on position. The APU is now going to start up. If we come outside, we can also see and hear that the APU is starting up. You can see the air waving. The APU is now starting up. We can come back into the cockpit, and as soon as that starts up, you will see a blue light here that says APU Gen. We will wait for that now. While we are waiting for this, we're going to check our transponder. If you're on Vatsim, that's going to be down here. You're going to see that this is your transponder. I believe this is going to be control 7. Yes, you can take a better look at it like this. This here is your transponder, which is basically what you're going to be squawking to ATC. Currently, we're squawking 1200. Make sure that your transponder is to the on position. We can switch this to 2000 until ATC has assigned us otherwise. The iFly 737 MAX always puts it to TARA, but you can just double check that it is set to TARA. Our before start check is complete. We can go to our before pushback checklist. We come back upstairs and we can see that our APU gen is on. So this is going to take the power and switch it from ground power over to our APU, which is going to provide power for the entire aircraft. Switch both of these to the on position, and now your aircraft is running on your APU. We can go to our fuel switches, which are going to be to the bottom left corner. You're going to see fuel pumps. Make sure that these are all on. The fuel center pump sometimes does not have fuel in it, depending on how long your flight is. If this is a 30-minute flight, this will not have fuel in it. You can also check this by turning these on, counting to 7, and it would look like our fuel pumps do have fuel in them. But usually if you're doing a 30-minute flight and you set up your FMC, these would stay to low pressure. These low pressure lights would still be on, and you can turn these back off. For our sake in this video, we're going to keep these to the off position. Our APU generator switch has been confirmed to on, and we can make sure that our seatbelt sign is to the auto or on position. For our video, it's going to be to the auto position. We can now make sure that our flight deck door is locked and closed. We can visually confirm this. Let's pretend like it's open, and we can visually confirm that that is closed, and your lock switch is going to be in the bottom right corner here, and switch that to the lock position. If we zoom in, we can see that that says unlocked or denied. Make sure it's on the deny position. Next, after your flight deck door is closed, we can now disconnect from the ground equipment or the GPU. We can come on down to here where we were before on our EFB, otherwise known as an iPad, and we can make sure that our electric is to the disconnect. Make sure that the disconnect diamond is green, and you can remove your chalk, so uncheck all of these. Once those are all unchecked, you can press set, done. If we come outside, you'll see that that truck is no longer there and no longer connected. Make sure you visually check that. Once your ground equipment is disconnected, you have to visually make sure that on your panel up here that the ground power blue light is no longer on, and just press off just to make sure. Your ground equipment is now disconnected. We can turn on our beacon light to let everyone know around us that our engines will be starting up soon. If we come here to anti-collision light, otherwise known as the beacon light, switch that to the on position. If we come outside, we'll see that that red light is now flashing. See that red light represented right there. Our before pushback checklist is complete. Usually we would wait for these to align, which takes about 7 minutes. Just be patient with these. These do take a little bit to align. You can clear your master caution, and you can commence your pushback. For me, I have downloaded the pushback toolbar, which is located in the marketplace of Microsoft Flight Sim. We can now plan our pushback. And we're going to be pushing back to the right today. Actually, for this video, it looks like it's going to want to the left. Sorry, we're going to be pushing back to the right. It's going to be going this way and then to the right. Press the check mark, and you can press start pushback. If you press connect tug, sometimes it does glitch, so you can just do start pushback. Start pushback is pushed, and you can see it says release parking brake. We can either click this, or if you have a full throttle quadrant like I have with the Thrustmaster full throttle quadrant, you can release the brake. We are now moving backwards. You can clear this, and for this portion, we're going to pause the music. You can clear this, and you can come upstairs, and you can start to press the engine start to the right ignition. This is going to start up engine number 2. And we can press this and go to ground to the left. If we come down here, you can see that N2 is alive. Coming up to N1, we'll wait for 1, and we can start our fuel. If we come outside, we can get a beautiful sound of our engine starting up. Ignore this, as this is part of the realism mod. You will then commence a beautiful hum. After that beautiful hum, you can come back into the cockpit, and we'll do the same for engine number 1. Ignition switch to the left engine, or engine number 1, and you can press this to ground. We can confirm that N2 is alive, N1 is going to be on the move after as well, and after 1, we can introduce fuel. Parking brake is set, as we have stopped our pushback, and we can come on outside. As you can see, engine number 1 rather, is alive and moving. We can commence that beautiful hum. Again, after that beautiful hum, you can come back into the cockpit, and we can do our after start checklist. Usually, again, these would be already online. These usually align after 7 to 8 minutes. You can come over to your engine generator switches, which are going to be located right next to your APU gen switches. Gen off and gen off. Click these to the on position. This switches the power from the APU to the engines. So now the engines are powering the aircraft. Once you have done that, you can come over to your APU bleed switches, which is located right here. Switch this to the off position, and we no longer need our APU, so we can go down to APU next to the taxi light and switch this to off. This light is confirmed off, meaning that the APU is off. Probe heat switches are going to come to the on position. If you come up by your window heat, it's going to be directly below. Switch these to the on position. Probe heat is now online. We can do a master caution recall, basically checking if anything is missing or wrong with the aircraft. Flight controls light is on because our systems are not all the way on yet. We can ignore that for this version of the video, but if anything is amber here, make sure that these are on, and also make sure that your air conditioning is on as well. Your altitude that you're set to, and the landing altitude, which you can check on SimBrief. We'll have another video for that. We'll clear this for purposes of this video, and now you can switch your engine and wing anti-ice as required. If you're flying from Alaska and your engines are frozen, you would come upstairs and turn on your wing anti-ice or engine anti-ice, both on. As we're in Charlotte, it's pretty warm, we're not going to need any wing anti-ice or engine anti-ice. We can go to our pack switches, which are going to be located right above our APU bleed switch, right here, and switch these to the auto position. One click, auto, one click, auto. Beautiful. You can check that your isolation valve is to the auto position. Right now it's on open. Put that to the auto position. You would now get your taxi clearance to the runway and do your taxi checks. Make sure that your parking brake is set. Your taxi light, located right next to runway turnoff lights, is on, and your runway turnoff lights are on as well. You can now set your flaps depending on how long your runway is, and for this video, I'll do flaps 5. Flaps 5 is coming out, and we can confirm that those are in transit. You can also confirm that your flaps are moving by coming down here and seeing that the flaps are extending and on 5. After you have done that, you're going to do your flight controls checks to make sure that your aircraft is working properly. We can go full down, neutral, full up, neutral, full left, neutral, and full right, neutral. We can also check our rudders, full left, neutral, full right, neutral. Controls are free and clear. You've now started up your 737 MAX by iFly, and you can now have yourself a successful flight. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, you put them in the comment section down below, and I'll answer all of them. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video on how to start up the FMC. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.